My name's Travis Baggett. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina originally. Moved up to Tennessee to kind of better my life, kind of run away from the problems in Charleston.
How old were you when that happened?
I was about 22.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Got a job at whitewater rafting on the Nolichucky, which was awesome, but didn't really fit
Were you
in.
like a guide?
Yeah, I was a guide down there. Yeah, Cherokee Adventures. They're closed down now. That's a good spot at Center Irwin. So, yeah, I just felt awkward. I'm coming off of drugs, coming up here. I'm thinking like geographical change is what's gonna do it this time for me. I'm gonna come up here. I don't know anybody
Outdoorsy.
in the woods. Whitewater rafting every day. It's gonna be lit. That kind of stuff, man.
It'll cure me.
Yeah, it's gonna cure me. Because I'm not gonna have time to think about doing pills and all that stuff. I get up here and instantly, it's the like river rat scene. It's like college kids, like hippie-ish guys, down there. We're all drinking and smoking and that kind of stuff. And
So you said you were running from the pills.
the pills, all of it, yeah.
It's a pretty heavy scene in Charleston.
Yeah. That everywhere, pretty much. Anywhere I've gone, there's
Find
drugs
it.
everywhere, man. So.
What got so like what made it so bad you needed to run from it? Run from it, change it up.
Yeah, it just, I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't able to see my kid down there, I don't know. It just got bad, man. It was the only thing I could think of to get me away from the drugs, because I knew if I stayed, I wouldn't stop. I couldn't stop.
You knew that then, but in like a subconscious sort of way.
Subconscious way, yeah. It wasn't like, yeah. I knew that if I was away from there, that I could, wouldn't be able to get anything. But as soon as I come up here, I'm like instantly trying to find stuff, and it worked. I ended up finding the right people and that kind of thing, because I still felt like alienated. I didn't know how to express the way I felt about anything. I didn't really know how to make friends, man. I was scared to death, and just wasn't sure of myself, super insecure. And yeah, just needed that comfort blanket again, It's like, damn, I don't have no drugs. Like,
When was it like you feel like your identity was wrapped up in it though? To be the Trav that everybody that can operate in the world.
yeah.
When did that become like intertwined with substances?
Oh man, when I was like 14 or something like that, like the second I started doing drugs, that's what I wanted to do. That gave me all the relief right there, drinking and smoking and doing pills and stuff, man.
I ask that question all the time, even to myself too, and I think when I say it, and then I've heard people say it, but they always say it with like a smile, and that to me suggests something, but where that comes from, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
only a certain amount of people, I guess, would be like, yo, I'm a junkie,
Yeah. I remember when I came to that conclusion, man. It was almost like I was proud of it, man.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
I finally fit in somewhere
Yeah,
to get along, or
yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess, I don't know. I was just thinking about how, like, when, like a sense of belonging, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're up here and you're doing your thing on the Nolichucky, seeking the stuff out immediately.
Yeah. And it happens quick, man. I'm seeking it out, I find it, and then I go to like this, I start going to Suboxone doctor, because that's easy, pills are expensive, all that kind of stuff. So I started doing the Suboxone thing and ended up meeting this chick, and start cooking meth, get busted pretty quick, do some time in Irwin and come out on probation, man. And when I got locked up, it was like the first time since I was like 13 that I had actually been sober, like for an extended period of time, or dry, no recovery in there. But it felt good. I remember 21 days in, finally everything was out of my system and I felt great. I'm like the whole time I'm not wanting to use when I'm in there, but as soon as a pack comes in, I'm getting high. And I get out and first thing I do is I start drinking, and it starts all over again from like the suicide feelings, like, thoughts of suicide, the just like just a shame, because yeah, it's just shame, like the stupid shit I've done on drugs, robbing people, stealing from my parents,
Whatever it takes.
whatever it takes, really, man. Stealing stuff from stores, and I worked a lot too. Like I worked a lot, and I always took pride in working and stuff. So like I wouldn't be able to hold a job down, and I'd let my bosses down, let people down around me, not paying my child support, that kind of thing.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing as hell. Yeah,
When
absolutely.
I come to it, after I'm not in the sober enough mind to come to it, it's
Yeah.
like,
And then might as well get high again, when you're like embarrassed. So, the one thing that's going to cover up those feelings of shame and guilt and remorse and all that, more drugs.
it just pushes snowball back down the hill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I meet this girl.
Another one or the same one?
No.
The one I was cooking meth with. You were.
Oh, no, this is different. She ended up doing like 8 years. She was like a snitch of heroin, I guess, man. And I was like her last person she snitched on before she had to go do her time.
Oof.
Yeah, it's all right though.
So you meet a new one.
What's that?
You meet a new one. A new
Yeah,
female.
yeah. And yeah, she, it's a drug relationship, really. We're doing
That's
drugs.
the main thing you all had in common.
The only thing we really had in common was drugs. But I love her, like, cause I want connection with somebody, even if it's a toxic connection. And, I've got 5 kids now, at that time I had 2, and I wasn't able to see my kids and stuff. And she had a little son, he was only like 8 months. And so I wanted to play dad, and, help her and, kind of have a family again, man. And, I'd keep trying to hold it together, but we would fight, and, the drugs got in the way, I wasn't a good father. And I finally, she was the only person like I really wanted to connect with, it was like, I don't know. It was like, I wanted my family. I wanted a family, So it got to a point where like, she's like, all right, I'm leaving if you don't go to rehab. And I was like, all right, I'll go to rehab because I'm miserable, right? Like, I'm fucking miserable. I'd do some dope and then start coming down and like just be bawling my eyes out, like, fuck, like, why can't I hold this together? Why can't I go to job regularly? Why can't I pay my bills? Why can't I get these voices to shut up in my head, telling me I'm a piece of shit and, all that stuff, man. So at the Suboxone clinic, I get a number of a guy, Craig. I get Craig's number, it's like 5 years ago. And he's like, I was like, hey man, I need to get into rehab. He's like, tell you what, pack a bag right now, go and meet yourself in the hospital, tell them you're going to kill yourself. Cause I was shooting dope to kill myself. And I do, man, and call him. He's like, all right, this is what you need to do. You need to go to CSU. So I go to CSU. And then I was like, all right, I'm at CSU. I call him again. And he's like, all right, well, I'll get you into MAG. And so I go into MAG. And that's where, like, the first time I really get some hope, you know, like I see guys coming in for aftercare doing, that are clean, that are excited about recovery. You know, I find out what recovery is. And I'm excited, man. You know, I do the thing for a few months, you know, but I'm holding on to the girl back home. You know, she's pregnant at this time. And so I'm at Oxford House, and I ended up throwing that away, you know, to go get high. You know, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take the pressure of, you know, her not getting clean and just being about to be a dad, you know, and just didn't have a license, you know, all this stuff, man. And I go back out, kind of hold it together for a couple years, you know, but the whole time knowing I need to get back into treatment, you know, like as soon as I started using, those suicidal thoughts came back, you know, those feelings of uselessness, all that stuff, man. The mental chaos, you know, was terrible, man. You know, they say a head full of hay and a belly full of beer, you know, like it was bad, you know, knowing there's a better life out there, but I chose to use again, and then, you know, the obsession comes along with that, and I can't stop, you know. So I go a few years, geographical change a few times. Like I move out to this camp, this boys camp in North Carolina, and I kind of leveled out a little bit there, you know, but still just chaos in my mind. I try to go to rehab a couple more times. Each time they're, you know, to keep what I have, or, you know, to keep the girl, or, you know, just, I guess, get my tolerance back down, you know, if like to
If you're running like a marathon, like I think like when cars are doing it, they have to go into like the pits to get like new tires, and,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
fuel back up,
yeah,
type
yeah.
of deal. So
And it's funny because, like, everybody else saw that, you know, but I'm like, no, I really want to get clean, you know, and I did. I truly did.
some part of you, I'm sure, did.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, it felt good and everything, but I'd come back out, man, and just, like, you know, hold it together for a few weeks, maybe, you know, or, like, try the different things, you know, like, I'm only going to take drugs that are prescribed to me, you know, and I'm not going to abuse them. I'm going to take them when that don't last, man. Or I'm like, I'm only going to drink beer. That don't work, you know. I literally, I can't take any mind altering substance, man, because it leads me back to, you know, the obsessive thoughts of getting high constantly, you know. We're finally, like, me and her split up, and we ended up having we have 2 kids together. We finally split up, and we split up, I go to rehab, moved to Dixon, relapse. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come back over here, you know, and essentially to, like, start my recovery journey over here, but I still wasn't quite ready.
When was this?
This was January of last year. You know, come over here, I'm strung out on fentanyl and meth, and living in my mom's camper, and you know, trying to get a little job, and a total in my car, and it just shoots straight down, you know, like I'm sleeping in a trap house. My kids are being neglected. I find out she's neglecting my kids. The kids get in state. I actually called CPS. Like, it was so bad, you know. My 7-year-old threw a knife at my 3-year-old and stuff, cut him, like, right across the face. So I'm like, man, something's got to happen. So I call CPS, and come to find out she had already had some cases against her and stuff. And They came and they took the kids, you know. It was one of the probably the hardest things I've done, you know, but I knew that like it had to be done. You know, like my grandma had called CPS on us a couple years before, you know, but like, you know, I can clean up pretty good, pretty quick, you know, at least give the appearance that,
Make
you
it
know,
look
everything's,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Dress it up.
So dodged a few bullets, but this time it was like, man, my kids are going to die or, you know, yeah, that's what I was worried about. You know, I was worried my kids are going to get hurt bad. And so they came and took them, and they're in foster care now, you know, which they're in a great home, man. It's the best thing that could happen. You know, I get to see them, you know, every 2 weeks and stuff. But so they get taken, and immediately, well, I'm not going to say immediately, like a few weeks after that, you know, I'm like, I got to go to rehab. You know, I'm going to rehab. This whole time, I'm like, you know, every time I relapse, I know I got to go back to rehab. You know, eventually, you know, if God willing, if I can make it back, you know, and so I finally get into rehab, man, and this time through, like, you know, like I said, I've been rehab a few times, like 4 or 5 times. Each time I'm a different person. You know, there's flirting with all the girls there. You know, I'm just acting fool, man, picking fights, you know, just being the class clown, you know. And this time I try to be my authentic self, the best I know how. You know, I try to take out all the masks. I try to be vulnerable. I try to sit back and not have all the right answers, you know, because I was good at that. You know, I could spit off all the answers, sound great in the group, you know, like sound like I got it all figured out, but inside, like I'm still just a mess, you know, fooling myself and everybody else, you know. So this time I just kicked back and just tried to be me. And there was a lot of relief in that, you know, it's scary, you know, like trying to be vulnerable and stuff. But I really embraced it and was excited about it and heard about recovery resources. And I knew I was going to go do like a, sober living. I was going to do Oxford because I'd been to Oxford before. And I heard Craig and Tabitha had a sober living. I was like, oh man, that's gonna be rough. You know, they're gonna be pretty strict. But it was the right decision. You know, I needed I needed structure, and I couldn't imagine how great it is, man. They really got it figured out here, man. And so I moved in recovery resources, man, and just I've gotten stuff back. You know, I got my license back. I get to see my kids now. Got a vehicle. Got a great job. You know, got a peace of mind. I'm working the steps. Got a sponsor. You know, really embracing that. You know, I've tried working the steps before, and just I didn't give it my all. You know, I didn't take the suggestions I should have taken. You know, and trying to take the suggestions now and surrounding myself with some guys that really hold me accountable and, you know, try to learn from them. We kind of learn together, you know. Yeah, it's been a good journey so
Yeah.
far here at Recovery Resources. Yeah.
It's your story and you're sticking to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I heard you say the other day in passing that you felt like you was struggling a little bit with life. What would you merit that to?
Okay. Yeah, like not doing things that I need to do in recovery, you know, let my recovery not slip, like not
What do you
going
think
to,
it's hard to maintain that same energy or same consistency like when I'm first coming in? Like, where do you think that goes?
Yeah, it definitely is. Some hold that energy longer than others, you know, and that could be part of it, you know. Coming out of rehab, I'm fired up. I'm ready to do some meetings and stuff. But you know, I let I try to take my will back, you know, like I get a little success and I'm like, I know what to do, you know, kind of get complacent, like going to meetings for the wrong reasons, you know, not not helping others the way I should, you know, not helping other alcoholics, you know, just doing the baseline, you know, of what I need to do. And
And when you start to feel off.
yeah, start to feel off. I get complacent, or I get irritable, restless, and discontent, you know, that kind of thing, you know what they say. And
So you see it happen.
I can definitely see it happen. Like the crazy, like I guess the blessing of like recovery and stuff is like, you know, my emotions are pretty level for most days. You know, I'm not real high, not real low. They're level. And when they do drop down a little bit, it's like, whoa, what's that
Something's
about?
off here. Yeah.
Yeah, something's off. You know, obviously, you know, wish I could stay up all the time, you know, but that's why I was a drug addict. You know, I'm always wanting to be up. But it yeah, so like little dips, you know, it'll throw you off, you know, and then, but I caught myself, you know, in more of a dip, not wanting to do as much stuff, you know, losing pleasure in activities and stuff. So I luckily have guys around me that notice that and have brought it to my attention, you know, like, hey, Travis, you know, we noticed you've been slacking in the meetings and, you know, not sharing and, you know, doing all that you need to. We're worried about you.
Is a like they use those things as a measurement tool to like gauge where Trav is at. And when that's off, they're like, yo, they care enough to say something's off. And you're like, well, yeah, I guess maybe it is.
Yeah, I got a little defensive at first, like, what? I'm doing everything I need to do. And then, like, deep down, I knew I wasn't. You know, I had already been battling that in my head, you know. Just, yeah, it's hard sometimes to want to do something about it, you know.
What I
Like,
hear, if I may,
yeah, go for
is it sounds like this feeling has been brought to your attention.
it. Yeah,
You have the awareness of it. And you're somewhere in the midst of trying or attempting to do what is suggested of you
yeah,
in hopes that not so that you won't go get high, but so that you won't be so in bondage to yourself or your fear, or at least that can be subdued in some way.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. You know, if I'm really living the 12-step program, it takes that fear away, you know, it takes some of the anxieties away. It really gives you relief, you know. It truly does. Helping others, you know, getting out of yourself, you know, because it's pretty easy to get wrapped up in myself, you know. Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.